The words hung in the air like smoke from a dying fire, thick and choking. My parents sat across the polished oak table, their faces flushed with wine and that familiar, casual cruelty. The chandelier above us cast jagged shadows on the walls of our family dining room, where silver-framed photos of my brother, Ethan, beamed down like accusatory gods. "You'll never be as good as your brother," they chuckled, my father's deep baritone blending with my mother's tinkling laugh, as if it were a punchline to some private joke. The fork in my hand trembled, the tines digging into my palm until I felt a warm trickle of blood. I stood up slowly, the chair scraping against the hardwood floor like a scream in the silence. "Then tell." I paused, my voice cracking like thin ice. "Tell him to be the one who forgives you." The room froze. My mother's smile faltered, her lipstick-smeared glass hovering mid-air. My father blinked, his bushy eyebrows knitting together in confusion, as if I'd spoken in a foreign tongue. Ethan, seated beside them like the golden child he was, shifted uncomfortably, his perfect jaw tightening. But I didn't wait for their response. I turned and walked out, the door slamming behind me with a finality that echoed through the empty hallway. Outside, the November wind whipped through the bare trees of our suburban yard, carrying the faint scent of rotting leaves. My heart pounded in my chest, a war drum of rage and humiliation. How many times had I swallowed those words? How many family dinners, holidays, graduations where I was the afterthought, the shadow to Ethan's blinding light? That night, I drove aimlessly through the rain-slick streets of our quiet town, the wipers slashing across the windshield like futile attempts to clear my vision. My mind replayed the scene in loops, each iteration sharper, more painful. Anger boiled in my gut, hot and acidic, but beneath it lurked something colder, resentment that had festered for years. Ethan, the prodigy, valedictorian, star athlete, the one who landed the prestigious job at Dad's law firm straight out of college. Me. Alex, always Alex, the name they'd given me as if it were a consolation prize. The one who scraped by with average grades, the artist who wasted time on paintings no one bought, the disappointment who worked odd jobs to pay rent on a cramped apartment downtown. I pulled over under a flickering street lamp, the rain drumming on the roof like insistent fingers. Why did it hurt so much this time? It wasn't the words. It was the chuckle. That dismissive, shared amusement, as if my entire existence was a mild inconvenience, a punchline they'd rehearsed. Heartbreak clawed at me, not just for the present but for the child I'd been, starving for approval that never came. I remembered summers at the lake house, where Ethan got the new bike and I got hand-me-downs. Birthdays where his gifts piled high, and mine were practical, forgettable. "He's just more driven," Mom would say, her eyes soft on him. "You could learn from him." Learn. Tried. God, I tried. But every effort was met with comparison, every success diminished by his shadow. By dawn, as the sky bled gray over the horizon, denial gave way to fantasy. I imagined storming back, smashing those photos, screaming the truths I'd buried. But fantasies weren't enough. Obsession took root, a dark vine twisting through my thoughts. What if I exposed them? What if I made them feel the betrayal I'd endured? Betrayal, yes, that's what it was. Not just favoritism, but a deliberate sabotage of my soul. They'd poured everything into Ethan, leaving me scraps. And now, with Dad's firm thriving and Ethan's promotion on the horizon, they were set to hand it all to him. The will, I'd glimpsed it once years ago. Everything to Ethan, a trust for me, as if I were a charity case. I returned to my apartment, the stale air heavy with the smell of turpentine and unfinished canvases. Collapsing onto the sagging couch, I stared at the ceiling cracks, mapping them like veins of opportunity. Doubt crept in. Was I overreacting? They were my parents, flawed but family. Guilt nipped at the edges. Maybe I wasn't as good. Maybe I deserved it. But no. The chuckle replayed, fueling the fire. I needed proof, something to justify the storm brewing inside. Days blurred into a haze of quiet calculation. I avoided their calls, letting voicemails pile up like unanswered accusations. Alex, honey, we didn't mean it like that, Mom's voice cooed, laced with false concern. Come home for dinner. Ethan's bringing his fiancée. Fiancé. Another milestone I'd miss. Another reminder. I dove into research instead, my laptop screen glowing in the dim room like a conspirator's lantern. Old family documents, emails I'd hacked into years ago during a rebellious phase. Nothing damning yet. But then a thread. Dad's firm had a shady client, a real estate mogul with ties to embezzlement. Ethan handled the account. What if there was dirt there? Suspicion gnawed at me, turning meals into ash in my mouth. I lost weight, my reflection in the mirror hollow-eyed and sharp. Fear mingled with resolve. What if I got caught? What if revenge destroyed me too? Moral conflict raged. They were blood. But blood had betrayed me first. I started small, strategic. An anonymous tip to a journalist friend about the firm's irregularities. Nothing traceable, just a whisper. Tension built slowly, like a pot simmering on low. Ethan called one evening. His voice smooth as ever. Bro, what's going on? Mom and Dad are worried. Worried? I echoed, my tone flat, suppressing the rage bubbling up. About what? Me not measuring up. He sighed, that patronizing exhale I'd heard 1,000 times. Come on, Alex. It's not like that. You're talented in your own way. My own way, I repeated, the words tasting like bile. Yeah, the way that doesn't count. Silence stretched, taut as a wire. Look, if you need money or something. I don't need your pity, Ethan. I hung up, my hand shaking. That conversation revealed more than he knew. His casual assumption of superiority, the manipulation veiled as kindness. It hardened my resolve. I began tailing him discreetly, parking outside his upscale condo, watching through binoculars as he laughed with his perfect fiancée, Sarah. She was kind, oblivious, a pawn in his flawless life. Jealousy twisted in me, not for her, but for the ease he wore like a second skin. One night, under a moonless sky, I broke into Dad's home office while they were at a gala. The house smelled of polished wood and Mom's lavender perfume, a sensory assault of nostalgia. My heart thundered as I rifled through drawers, the click of the lockpick echoing like gunfire. There files on the mogul, emails hinting at off-the-books deals. Ethan had signed off on them. Fraud. My brother, the golden boy, was complicit. Shock hit me like a punch. Not just favoritism but corruption propping up his success. Betrayal deepened. They'd known, covered for him while judging me. Guilt surged as I photocopied the evidence, my hands slick with sweat. Was this justice or obsession? I fled into the night, the papers burning in my pocket. Back home I pored over them, piecing together a plan. Expose it all, anonymously, let the firm crumble. But doubt whispered. What if it ruined innocent lives? What if Ethan fought back? Fear clawed at my sleep, dreams of confrontation turning bloody. Weeks passed in a slow burn. I feigned reconciliation, attending a tense family lunch. The backyard patio overlooked manicured lawns, birds chirping mockingly. Glad you're here, son, Dad said, clapping my shoulder too hard. His eyes avoided mine, guilt flickering. Yeah, I muttered, forcing a smile that felt like glass shards. Family first, right? Ethan watched me warily. Sarah chatting obliviously about wedding plans. Tension hummed beneath the small talk, subtle hints of my unraveling control. A dropped fork, a too long stare, foreshadowing the storm. Inside, my mind raced. The exposure would hit soon. I'd sent the files to the journalist, timed for maximum impact. As the sun dipped, casting long shadows, Mom pulled me aside in the kitchen. The air smelled of fresh-baked pie, cloying and false. Alex, we've always loved you. But Ethan. He's the one who can carry on the legacy. Legacy, I whispered, rage coiling. Built on lies. Her eyes widened, a flash of fear. What do you mean? I said nothing, walking away. The seed was planted. Suspense thickened, my cold resolve sharpening like a blade. The journalist's article dropped like a bomb in the quiet of a Monday morning. I woke to my phone buzzing incessantly, the screen lighting up with notifications. Scandal rocks local law firm. Embezzlement allegations surface. My heart raced as I scrolled, the words blurring through a haze of triumph and terror. Ethan's name was there, bold and damning, linked to forged documents and hidden accounts. The mogul's empire teetered, and Dad's firm was collateral. I imagined their faces, shock, fury, the chuckle erased forever. But obsession had its price. Guilt gnawed deeper now, a constant ache. Had I gone too far? The plan felt justified in the dark hours, but daylight exposed its ugliness. I paced my apartment, the floorboards creaking underfoot, the air thick with a metallic tang of drying paint from abandoned canvases. Rain lashed the windows, mirroring the storm inside. What if they traced it back? What if revenge consumed me, leaving nothing but ashes? Ethan called first, his voice a whip crack of anger. Alex, what the hell have you done? Me. I feigned innocence, my pulse thundering. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. The files. Only family knew about that drawer. You broke in, didn't you? Silence stretched, heavy with accusation. Why would I do that, brother? After all, I'm not as good as you. He cursed, a rare crack in his composure. This ruins everything. Dad's having a heart episode, Mom's hysterical. If this is your idea of payback. Payback. I laughed, bitter and hollow. For what? Years of being your shadow. The constant reminders that I'm worthless. You're not worthless, he snapped, but doubt laced his words. We can fix this. Come over, talk. I hung up, adrenaline surging. The invitation was a trap, or perhaps desperation. Tension coiled tighter, every creak in the building sounding like footsteps. I armed myself with copies of the evidence, slipping them into a backpack. Moral conflict raged. Expose more or pull back. But resentment won. They'd betrayed me with favoritism, now with secrets. I deserved to see it burn. Driving to the house, the streets blurred in the downpour, wipers struggling against the torrent. Lightning cracked the sky, illuminating skeletal trees. My mind flashed to childhood memories. Ethan praised for straight A's, me scolded for daydreaming. Heartbreak resurfaced, raw and weeping. Why hadn't they loved me equally? Was I defective? I arrived to chaos. Ambulances flashed red and blue in the driveway, paramedics wheeling Dad out on a stretcher. Mom wailed, clutching his hand, her makeup streaked like war paint. Ethan stood rigid, Sarah beside him, her eyes wide with confusion. What happened? I demanded, stepping into the fray, rain soaking my clothes. Stress, Ethan growled, his eyes locking on mine with pure hatred. From your little stunt. Mom turned, her face crumpling. Alex. Oh God, is it true? Did you? Denial flickered, but I met her gaze steadily. You always chose him. Why? She collapsed into a chair on the porch, the wood groaning under her weight. It wasn't like that. Your father. He had an affair. Ethan is. He's not fully yours. The world tilted. Shock slammed into me, fury mingling with fresh betrayal. What? Dad wheezed from the stretcher, his voice weak. Alex, son. Ethan is my child from before your mother. We kept it secret to protect the family. But he needed more guidance opportunities. You were strong enough without. Strong enough. The words ignited obsession into inferno. All those years the favoritism wasn't blind. It was calculated, hiding a bastard secret. Heartbreak shattered into cold resolve. They'd built our family on lies, sacrificing me on the altar of their shame. Ethan's face paled, Sarah gasping. You knew, she whispered to him. He nodded, defeated. I found out in college. They begged me to keep quiet. Rage boiled over. And you let them pit us against each other. Let me rot in your shadow. It wasn't like that, he protested, but his voice cracked. Dialogue revealed the fractures. Manipulation from parents suppressed guilt from him. Paramedics loaded Dad in, sirens wailing as they sped away. Mom sobbed, "Please, Alex, forgive us." "Forgive?" I echoed, the word tasting like poison. "You chuckled at my pain." I turned to leave, but Ethan grabbed my arm, his grip bruising. "Don't walk away. We can sue the journalist, bury this." I shoved him off, the backpack heavy with evidence. "Bury it like you buried the truth." Suspense peaked as I drove to the journalist's office, the rain easing to a drizzle. Inner thoughts warred. This would destroy them utterly. Firm closed, reputations shattered, perhaps prison. Guilt screamed, Dad's heart, Mom's tears. But resentment whispered, they deserved it. Moral grayness enveloped me. Revenge felt poetic, yet hollow. At the office, the journalist, a sharp-eyed woman named Lena, met me in a cluttered room smelling of coffee and ink. "More evidence?" she asked, eyebrows raised. I handed over the files, my hands steady now. The full story. Fair cover-up favoritism. Make it front page. She whistled low. "This is dynamite. But are you sure? This hits your family hard." I nodded, cold resolve stealing me. They hit first. Leaving doubt resurfaced. What if this broke me too? Obsession had blinded me to consequences. The twist came that night. A knock at my door. Sarah, drenched and trembling. "Alex, wait." "Ethan." He didn't know everything. "What now?" I snapped, letting her in. The apartment felt claustrophobic, shadows dancing from a single lamp. She paced, wringing her hands. "Your parents, they embezzled to fund Ethan's education, his start at the firm. But Ethan found out recently and was planning to expose it himself. He wanted to make it right, to share everything with you." Disbelief hit, then fury. "Lies." "No," she insisted, pulling out a USB drive. "Recordings." He confronted them last week, demanded they amend the will. "But you struck first." I plugged it in, voices filling the room. "Ethan's anger, parents, please." "Alex deserves half," he said. "Stop the games." Heartbreak twisted anew. Betrayal from all sides, but Ethan's hidden loyalty. Guilt crashed over me like a wave. I'd assumed the worst, fueled by resentment. Now the firm crumbled, Dad hospitalized, all because of my haste. I called Ethan, voice hoarse. "Why didn't you tell me?" "You wouldn't listen," he replied, weary. "I was trying to fix it quietly." The line went dead. Outside, thunder rumbled, a final echo. Revenge had delivered justice, but at what cost? Poetic, yes, their secrets exposed, favoritism laid bare. But the twist left me shattered. In pursuing vengeance, I'd betrayed the one ally I had. Cold resolve melted into regret. The family fractured beyond repair. As dawn broke, I stared at my paintings, symbols of a life unlived. The pursuit ended not in triumph, but in the quiet horror of unintended consequences.